And I remember having, toddlers who were crying at my leg while I'm trying to help an older child or read a book and, who want to sit on my lap and they want to get off my lap and they want to throw the book and...
Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Knorpp and South. Today is a sit down and chat video, kind of like a podcast.
But it's not a podcast.
But it's not necessarily a podcast. But we know that for many of you, you're sending your kids back to school, but also for many more than ever before, many of you are keeping your kids home from school. And we wanted to let you know that we homeschooled our 9 kids starting 17 years ago. And it wasn't that complicated. It's a lot simpler than we thought then and that you might be thinking now. So we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, because it's that time of year.
Yeah.
We started thinking about it. It's funny, every fall we start thinking about it too. So
yeah, you can't help it. There's all of the school supplies being sold at stores and backpacks and everybody's getting their back to school clothes. And as homeschoolers, we're actually kind of excited because the world gets quiet again once everybody goes back to school.
Yeah.
Our life doesn't look too different. People always ask us, when do you start school? And we don't really work that way. So school's kind of always happening.
Yeah, never starts, never ends.
We always learn. And so, but it definitely gets a little bit tighter, a little bit more intentional once everybody else heads back to school because there's not as many distractions with friends and neighbors.
That's true.
And barbecues and pool parties and stuff like that. So today I wanted to make the video because of that and because I know that a lot of you are new to homeschooling. I actually have a good friend locally here who is homeschooling for the first time. And I've been in conversation with her and talking to her and remembering so much of how I felt as I hear her share her fears and her worries and her struggles. And I'm so happy to be able to talk to her from the other side.
Yeah.
From all of these years of experience and all of the things that we've done and learned. And so I wanted to do the same for you guys here. For anybody who's scouring the internet or YouTube, maybe you're an old friend of Knorpp and South, or maybe this is the first video you've ever seen of ours. But I wanted to kind of share with you our journey, the things that we've learned, and to encourage you in your bringing your children home and educating them yourselves, to tell you that it's worth it and that it's not that complicated. Like I said, we started 17 years ago this fall, and we are still homeschoolers. We still have several kids at home because we homeschooled all 9 of our kids.
Yeah.
And so that means you also might hear people walking around or making noises or knocking on doors. But I remember the pressure that we felt 17 years ago. I remember the excitement I felt, but I also remember the terror, and that for the first few years it felt really complicated. But most of those complications came from ourselves.
Yeah, you kind of place them on yourself, or you let other people place them on you.
Yeah, because of the input of others, their fears, and then combined with our fears. And so I wanted to be a voice on the other side of that. Like I said, we now have 6 children who have essentially graduated from the first part of homeschooling, who are now into the next part of their life.
Whoa, you're right.
Yeah, 6 children.
That's
and
crazy.
They're all doing different things, all doing happy, exciting things. All of them are equipped to know themselves better than we did at their age, certainly maybe even into our 30s.
Yeah.
And so they're all pursuing things and happily on the paths of their choosing. We're going to share 3 principles today that for us eventually became the guiding principles of how we lived, and that really simplified homeschooling for us and made everything else kind of secondary and therefore a lot easier to handle emotionally and just mentally. But before we get there, I wanted to share a little bit how deciding to homeschool or bring our kids home and educate them was one of the best decisions we've ever made. Like really, it's up in the top 3 best decisions we ever made. We constantly feel so grateful that we pushed through all of the fear at the beginning, and like kind of the opposition from friends and family who were like, what are you doing? And from our own mind, overcoming old beliefs of what childhood should look like, like, our kids will never have field day, and will they go to prom? And like all of these sorts of questions. No school lunch, that was so fun. And we are so grateful. And I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about why.
Yeah, well, I think a big part of it is that I know that at the beginning of when you start doing it, especially if you have little kids at home, it can feel like you're giving yourself more work because they're there all day and you're kind of chasing them around or whatever. You don't get that break that maybe that you were accustomed
Some of your
to
peers are getting.
Or even looking forward to. And that's true. They are there more than they would otherwise be. However, the reality is if you are willing to do that up front, what it creates on the back end for you is much less stress and much less work in the long run, really. Because by keeping them home young and being able to be part of their education, you're solving a lot of problems that will later give you heartache and issues with your children. And we've definitely found that because we all know that as school progresses and as children age, you get other issues as far as behavior and things they might be doing or whatever that are outside of your view but still affect you or you still have to deal with later that you don't have to anymore because they're with you and you're just there the whole time. And you don't, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you have a house, you can build it really, really quickly and get into it. But because it wasn't built properly, it's always giving you problems, right? You're like, the electrical and all of these issues because it was built so quickly and not properly. But if you have a really solidly built house, it serves you so well. And so when you keep your kids home young, like Mike is talking about, there's all of these tropes with as your kids get older in the teenage years, these problems like, teenagers. It has been fascinating to us that so many of those problems are actually, in our view, consequence of the public school system.
Yeah, it's definitely a consequence of that system.
And so
it doesn't have to be
we
that
didn't
way.
have this shift to where suddenly our children aren't talking to us anymore and they don't like us and they're rebellious and
or they don't respect us
or
anyone.
And that the warmth is gone. Like there's so many funny reels about like your teenagers that just don't apply to us. And which is fascinating, right? And so even though at the beginning, and I remember having, toddlers who are crying at my leg while I'm trying to help an older child or read a book and, who want to sit on my lap and they want to get off my lap and they want to throw the book. And what it did is required us to become a very organized household. And I don't mean organized like we had this beautiful schedule on the wall, but I mean, we learned how to get along with each other.
Yeah.
We learned how to work with each other and how to be happy together. And then we became really cohesive. Mm-hmm. And so that's a huge blessing. We are all so very, very close as a family.
Yeah.
Parent to child, child to parent, and then siblings. And what a blessing that is because friends come and go. Even my friends come and go. But we love each other so much, and we've had all of these experiences and gotten to know each other so well that we're like this really, 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 really happy group of people. Yeah. So yes, our house was difficult to build, but serves us so well now.
But even saying it was difficult is not. It's not like difficult all the time. I mean, there's a lot of really happy memories of the kids being home.
Yes, and I would rather spend a few more months in building the house to then have a solidly built home than to hurry and move into a house that is, the facade is that it's a nice house, but it's constantly causing problems.
Right.
And so we feel that that's one of the major blessings of homeschooling, to be honest. We mentioned earlier that we now have 6 kids that are on their paths to their adult lives. They've left home and they are at least a decade ahead of us, at least, of where we were at.
Oh, right. You mean when we were their age and kind of understanding
ourselves,
what we wanted to do and all that kind of
like
stuff.
What we were good at, what we were energized by, what we were drained by, because they've had the time to pursue their own interests and work hard instead of just what's prescribed to them. And in a system that's built for the masses, and yet so not individualized at all. You just have to do it. Nobody's saying, "Hey, is this interesting to you? Or are you good at this?" Or even just the schedule of it, sometimes it might take you a little bit longer to learn things, but you are going to learn them.
Right.
And so once they become of age and they were ready to leave home, they know themselves.
A lot better, yeah.
Oh, I feel like we didn't even know ourselves that well by the age of 30. So we were, in our late 20s and into our early 30s reading all these books about what are you good at? What would you like to do with your time? And they got the chance when the stakes were very low.
Yeah.
When they were living at home with us, they don't have to support themselves to explore that and to become good at things.
For sure, yeah.
Way, way before we did. I remember reading a book when my kids were very little about like homeschooling and teens or something. It was just like I found it at the thrift store, and so I had it. I might still have it, but it went through these teenagers that were doing stuff, and I thought, that would be so cool. Like one in particular I remember, only one, was like some girl who was really interested in marine biology. So when she was 16, she went down to like some program in Florida and was able to work with a marine biologist during the school year because she didn't have to go to public school. So as I was reading that book, I could not fathom. It was my dream that our kids would have the opportunity to do that. But they have experienced that and so much more because of that decision. We've had our kids participate in study abroads. We've been able to ride on camels in the Sahara, take surfing lessons off the coast of Africa, take cooking lessons in Mexico, take tours of Machu Picchu, travel around Europe, seeing castles in the United States history. We've been able to do so many things because of the freedom that was afforded to us. We're not tied to the school calendar. It just kind of built on itself.
Right.
And, it started with spending more time in museums and maybe going for walks in the woods and things along those lines, and it just kept growing and growing. And I'm not saying that everybody who homeschools is going to have those sorts of experiences necessarily, but I am going to say that they're available to you. And I couldn't fathom them. Maybe you're like, I have no idea how that would happen. I did not know that those would happen for us and for all of our kids, but they did.
Right.
And so it's been amazing. And we look back at the last 17 years as some of the most incredible experiences, because all the while they were experiencing those, we were experiencing those and learning right alongside of them. Well,
and I think if you even remove all the travel from the equation, what they really had was the chance to explore what they were interested in and spend time in that and not have to move on to all the other subjects that school kind of forces you to learn. And that's kind of into a different philosophy or part of the philosophy of how we do homeschooling. But it means that they got to move forward in kind of what they want to do in life, do some of it at a younger age, and are either springboarding that into actual careers or just using that to kind of inform what they do moving forward. That to me is a huge win, is that your children get the chance to just really dial in on what they are interested in and dig deep into that. And it's given our children, our adults at this point are just launching, I feel, a real head start on adult life because they've already kind of started what they already want to do when they're younger. So
so they legitimately have experience already in the careers they're interested in when they leave home.
Right.
And they already have skills that they can offer and have been able to just immediately move into the spaces that they want to reside in. Sometimes we're not used to that, and so we think it's going to take into the mid or late 20s before you get there, and it did for us.
Sure.
But it's been really happy to see them not wander around as much as we did.
Sure, yeah.
At their ages.
Yeah.
So we could go and we could spend volumes talking about all of the amazing blessings that have come to our family because we decided to bring our kids home. I literally feel like I shudder to think if I hadn't done it. I'm just so grateful. And so I get really excited when I meet somebody who's wanting to do that and just needing a little bit of encouragement. I'm like, well, let me tell you, do it. Do it. And so I guess that's why I wanted to make this video.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to share 3 principles that we feel like will help you just create
a framework or maybe a way of seeing it. I don't know what it is, but
and you're not like, well, we're doing this method or we're using this curriculum. That's fine. It really, these principles work no matter whether you're doing online, through a public school or a private school, all the way to unschooling where you're, very child-led.
Right.
I think that they will help you because one of the things that's different about homeschooling, and it doesn't matter what method you use, life has seasons to it. And so some days you're going to be very industrious and some days you're not. And that can be very stressful especially a new homeschooling mom, because you're like, oh my gosh, I just spent all day doing this or that. And the kids didn't spend as much time sitting at their books, and things along those lines can be very stressful. And that's where you start to wonder am I ruining them? Are they,
Well, and I think that's every parent's concern is that they're
Yes.
definitely going to do that.
When the public school system is just you just trust, I'm going to put them into this machine and into this system, and it will pop them out educated on the other side, which I don't actually think is true, but it does feel a lot safer than when you take it into your own hands, at least at the beginning.
Yeah.
So the first principle to homeschooling your kids and not overcomplicating it and keeping it simple is to fill your life with beauty. Now that sounds maybe kind of abstract.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, if your home and your life is full of beautiful music, playing, beautiful art, that you're visiting beautiful places, whether it be in the forest in your neighborhood or all the way, on a trip, beautiful museums. And the reason I use beauty is because they're elevated things that aren't just Magic School Bus. Magic School Bus is a fun show, but I do think there's something really powerful to beautiful things. So a little bit more heightened music and art and experiences. If you fill your life with the richness of those things, it develops a different type of human, somebody who is comfortable in that complexity and that beauty and seeks it out. It starts to become its own teacher in your home. And it raises everybody's consciousness in a way. And so even if you're having a busy day and you feel like they're not getting to this or that, you'll find that if you have a home full of books, beautiful books, that they will make their way to them and they will spend time in them. If there's beautiful music playing, I think they will gravitate towards playing those instruments that you wish that they would play. Mm-hmm. And even to beautiful sights and sounds, smells in your home. If you're eating delicious food together, making delicious food together, so that is so enriching for your kids. And they will be taking that all in. It is impossible to put them into this world of beauty and complexity and not have that educate them.
Yeah.
We so often think of education as something that has to be sitting at a table or a desk with a book and a pencil in hand, an essay that must be written. But it really isn't like that. One of the things that kind of blew my mind when I was reading and trying to figure out how to teach my kids how to read, and I was studying and pondering and really struggling. Some book, I don't even remember, pointed out that we don't feel that way about teaching our children to speak.
Right.
We just fill their life with words, with
yeah.
conversation, and they pick it up. And they said, reading is the same way. And I was like, is that possible? And it turns out it is possible. And we've seen that happen with our children. But I think that same principle applies to everything. If you fill their life with words, they learn to speak. If you fill it with books, they learn to read. If you fill it with beautiful music, they learn to appreciate beautiful music, and the list goes on. And so just fill your home with information and good information and beauty and complexity. Put art up on the walls, even if it's, our home is full of thrift store art, if you didn't know that. But
you don't have to spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah, watch documentaries that are about beautiful places, and you don't have to worry about will they understand it? They'll understand as much as they can.
Yeah, or need to at the time.
Yeah, even 3-year-olds will be willing to sit on the couch next to you and watch, a video about Scotland. I really believe that. I've experienced it. And so and every time you go to the thrift store, look for books that have beautiful photos and art and stories and bring them home and fill your home with things along those lines. And I think you'll find that it affects them and it affects you, and it makes the home a joyous place to be where everybody just starts absorbing information and wisdom.
Yeah, I think it does create a general kind of feeling in the home that is conducive to learning. And everybody, after a while, kind of figures that out. And I know that there's always, like we said, when you have toddlers, you have little ones at home, we know that peace may be hard to come by, right? And that's okay. And it's not like it's that way all the time. We don't live in a home where it's always peaceful and always
well, and I don't even think that's
thing.
required. You could have like books scattered all over the floor,
Yeah.
and
It doesn't mean a peaceful order all the time, but it just means sort of a general feeling. And everyone does seem to kind of get with the program, even though you're not forcing anyone to get with the program. It just sort of happens. And it does create a much more conducive to learning situation for everybody.
It becomes
even
the
for
culture.
Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that leads into our next tip, and that is to model learning. I have after you've been homeschooling for a while, you'll have other homeschooling moms come and ask you, like, as some sort of veteran, like, what do I do if my child won't do this or that? And so often the question is, how do I get my child to, and it's like, play an instrument or read more books or, something along those lines. And I don't usually have the guts to say it, but I do often want to say, do you play an instrument? Do they see it as a normal part of human life for an adult to be playing an instrument and be practicing it every day? Or do you read books in front of them? Is that a part of normal human life?
Right.
Do you speak another language? And so I think it's very common as homeschoolers when you bring your kids home to set some goals and you're like, well, I'm going to design the perfect human, and the perfect human plays an instrument and they speak multiple languages and they, have all of these skills. And then it's like, go for it, human, go for it, child, learn all of these things. And then you're frustrated when they're not doing it. I think you would be surprised that as you model learning, as you are working on projects, it can be something as simple as you're sewing something or you're baking something. As you get busy in the home, and you're working on things and you're reading books, it's just a part of what humans do.
Right.
And that was another program I watched. A man was talking about indigenous cultures, that they don't have schools, they don't go to school, and they don't have like hunting school.
Right, right.
The children just watch their parents do it, and they're along in the, the actual pupusas that they're in, or they...
Is that what it's called, the pupusa?
In some cultures. But they are there along for the ride, wrapped up with mother as she is working and, starting the fire and all of those things. And then the children start to play at hunting and building fires and cooking. And then they transition into adult life very, very easily.
Sure.
But we kind of separate our children from adult life.
When we send them to public school.
When we send them to public school. And so then it's like, how do I adult? You hear that statement all the time. But if you will model adult life for them and you will fill your life with learning and with these things that you wish your children were doing, it will just be what humans do.
Yeah.
It won't be strange to them to play an instrument or read books. Now, neither one of us plays an instrument, but several of our children play instruments. So it's not a one-to-one, like if I want them to play a flute, I have to play a flute. But I've watched time and time again. You get frustrated with your kids because you feel like they're all laying around and they're not really doing anything. And it's like, am I doing anything? As soon as I get busy doing something in front of them, it's like the whole home becomes more industrious.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And everybody starts to almost give themselves permission to start doing things as well. So
usually because they want to be next to you doing it.
Yeah, so whether they join with you or they just start doing something on their own, model learning. If you want your kids to read yourself. If you want your kids to play an instrument, fill their life with beautiful music, and perhaps play an instrument yourself. Make that just what humans do, and just like speaking, it will come naturally. They will see that as an option. So much of what we found when we became adults is people would be doing things that we thought were so cool, and it's like, it hadn't even occurred to me that I could do that. And so we kind of had to teach ourselves as an adult that those things are available to you if you'd like to do them. You can get your kids so much further ahead if you help them see that all of these things are available to them.
Right.
These skills, these learning opportunities, and these ways of moving through the world.
Well, and I think it also gets them a little more excited about becoming adults too. I think there is a prevailing sort of fear of stepping into adulthood these days, where they resist launching into the real world, as it were. And if you show them that actually you can have a lot of fun with the real world, as it were, then they're more eager to do so, and they're more eager to step into that and join that adventure because you've shown them that it is one.
Absolutely. In fact, we feel like we have the opposite problem. We're always like, not yet, not
they
yet.
They want to go.
They're always ready to like go out there and start, making their way through the world, which has been really happy.
Sorry, we have squeaky chairs. I'm just realizing that.
Because this
we
one
have
likes antiques.
Yeah.
And so, Mike, what would you say our final tip is for keeping it simple in homeschooling?
The final tip today is to be a crew at home. And what we mean by that is, I think some people think when you talk about sort of homeschool and child-led education, that you're taking responsibility from the children and saying you can just do whatever you want. But what we found is really an important part of this whole equation is that everybody essentially has a job at home that they're expected to do. And this is super simple. It's not complicated, but for us, it's just having a chore chart that everybody follows. And so we all have a job to do that day, and we sort of contribute to the family in that way. So we all kind of feel ownership for it. We feel ownership for the order in the house. We have a responsibility to help everybody out. And it really does create, kind of a crew-like atmosphere.
Like a ship's crew.
Yeah. It's not mom isn't taking care of all the cleaning, or dad isn't taking care of all the outside chores, whatever. We're all involved. And it takes everybody to make this ship kind of run. And I think that's a huge part of just, general cooperation in the home and a good feeling. There's always some conflict that comes with asking kids to do chores, but
it really helps their self-esteem.
It's true.
They build a lot of confidence in themselves because they have done hard things and been okay. They've survived the chore the dishes that they looked at and thought, I'll never be able to finish these dishes, and then they do. That's, I think, something that we often forget is that kids need to feel like the family needs them. They don't know that they need to feel that, but they will gain a lot of confidence and self-esteem from seeing that they are competent, important members of the family. And never did we see that more apparently than when we spent 2 years traveling full-time with all 9 kids. We spent a year-ish in an RV traveling around the United States, and then a year-ish traveling around Europe and staying in Airbnbs. But we were a crew. People knew, like, you've got to help dad set up the RV. We've got to get the bags in the back of the van. And, like, we became such a tight-knit community, which was really important for our family at the time because we had added 5 kids to our family through adoption. And so we had to very, very quickly become a crew. And so I know some of you are saying, my kids aren't like that. They've been in public school. They don't get along. Well, I think you can make it work because we brought 5 kids into our family from a different country who didn't speak the same language. And when you do these things and you work together and you create a home full of beauty, it creates a culture of warmth and happiness, and everybody assimilated. So I want to give you hope, like, if we can do it, if we can bring teenagers from another country into our home and that these principles will work for them, then I promise it can work for your kids who maybe have bad attitudes and who aren't very good at listening to you. And that's part of it. I mean, your children are like a wild horse that needs help getting in control of their own behavior. But once they do, what a happy horse they are, right? They serve themselves so well and serve the world so well because they've gotten in control and reined in their gifts and talents. And so... Well,
and let me simplify that too, because I think when people think chore chart, they think something complicated. And to me, this isn't super complicated. So I'm going to give you a few ideas on how to set up your own chore chart that'll work for you and your family. So take the amount of children you have. Let's say you have 3 children. Come up with 3 chores every day that need to be done. And then you put one child's name by each of those chores. And now we go out for the week, starting on Monday, and we cycle the children through each chore so they each do the chore on any given day, right? They kind of cycle through. And then you can even cycle that through a 3-week kind of program where no one person is stuck with the dishes on Sunday every time, because maybe Sunday's a bigger dinner and so they're bothered that they have to do that. But every week there's a different person on Sunday who's doing the dishes. And that's it. You do 3 by 3 weeks and you cycle everyone through. No one feels like they're being, it's uneven, or what's the word? Unequal.
Yeah,
because that's a big deal with children. We all know this. They don't want to be doing something that someone else doesn't have to do. And then you've got a chart. You do it on a little Excel spreadsheet. Go on Google Drive and get on their like little sheets thing. And you print it out. You put it up on the cabinet. And that's the chart. That's it. It's just, whose turn is it? Let's look at the chart. And it's not you always having to say, well, let's see. Today we're going to have you do that. It's all set out.
Nobody questions the chart.
Really, it doesn't. It's questioned very little. Maybe you might have some kids who give you a little trouble. But either way, you've set it out. There's no stars. There's no like complicated point system where they earn points if they do certain things.
He's speaking from experience.
Don't mess with all that. I tried that stuff. It doesn't work, because eventually they learn how to work this system where they say, I don't care about stars anymore. I don't care.
Yeah.
So just keep it simple, and it's amazing what that'll do for the general order. And I don't know, it takes chaos out of the home, and everyone's working towards something.
Yeah, and it creates even a culture where they understand that if they don't pull their weight, other people struggle.
Right.
Like, oh, you didn't do the morning dishes very well, so now lunch dishes are a lot harder.
Yeah.
And they know that. And
right.
That's actually good for them. It teaches them that they're not the center of the universe and what they do matters. And that it can feel like a negative thing, but it's actually a really positive thing, because you want to know that what you do matters.
Yeah,
you want to know that if you didn't show up that day, people would miss you.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it is, if I don't do the breakfast dishes, it creates more work for someone. But it's also like, if I'm not here, that's hard on everybody. Yeah. And that makes you feel part of a crew. And I will add in, that works with modeling as well, because I think our kids know that mom and dad are working too. We're all working. Nobody is just riding on someone's coattails in this family. But we're all happy to do so. We make sure that we model having a good attitude when we're working.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And
your attitude is pretty important.
Yeah, and we're willing to work for the family. I'm willing to make dinner for the family. I'm willing to be a part of that and to give that to the family. And so it kind of, didn't work perfectly from the beginning, but it eventually started to click and became simple.
Yeah.
Until you get to a point where we just have so much fun. And we have so much happiness, and we can walk around the house, and we do. We look at each other and we're like, there's so much going on in our household right now. Mm-hmm. There's, somebody playing an instrument, somebody creating, working on some physical project, and there's somebody brainstorming with another child about a project they're working on. And we know that we have, Asher's up doing an internship building timber framed buildings right now. And so it just becomes this very, very rich life experience. And it all comes from getting just a few simple principles into place in your household. Mm-hmm. Beauty affects people. Order affects people. Humans are good. And when you get those things going, it will change them. And I know...
And it will make your life easier, is the thing. It actually gets to the point, like Megan said, it's all rolling. The chore stuff, the learning, the doing,
the relationships.
The relationship is rolling. I mean, there's always maintenance, whatever, but you are not fighting an uphill battle constantly against whatever they might be learning at school or whatever their friends over here are doing with them. It's so much easier. It seems like more work at the beginning, and maybe is a little more work at the beginning, but long term, it becomes this beautiful system where there's so much more happiness and so much more harmony, that all that work up front was completely worth it, because it's minuscule compared to the years of stress you might experience otherwise. So. Yeah. Totally worth it.
Best decision. Keep going. Don't give up. Even if you don't get to do anything more than go grocery shopping and play some beautiful music and read some fun books, take a walk, it's enough. Totally. It really is enough. It wasn't complicated. And if you want to go watch our unschooling video, you can hear more about the details of how we educate our kids. But it works. And it really doesn't matter as much as you think it does.
Kids are more resilient than they think they are too.
What books get open that day, and what curriculums you choose, and how many minutes are spent with a pen in hand. humans like to learn, and given the right environment, will flourish. And so keep going, enjoy your school year, don't stress too much, and hold to the original reason you wanted to homeschool, because it's going to work out. Thanks, guys. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.